Let's see how we did. All right, so we're supposed to show all steps. Final answers rounded to 2 decimals, include units if applicable. In this case, it says find angle B. So they want this one right here. You look at it, all 3 sides given, right? You know that it's going to be cosine law. So cosine of B is equal to, no matter what, I take the side across and I subtract and square. 7.2 plus 9.6, make sure you square, over 2 times 7.2 times 9.6. I don't have a formula sheet in front of me, but your formula sheet does have sine law, cosine law formulas, okay, the yellow one, but I strongly encourage you to have one of these on your study sheet, okay? Continue. Cosine of B, if you plug in the top, you get negative 12.25. Watch the negative, and you get 138.24 in the denominator. So I would for sure give you a mark already for this. If the very beginning is done correctly and plugged in, the numbers are where they're supposed to be, you get 1 mark. Okay. This gives you negative 0.0886, and it actually keeps going. So angle B is inverse of negative 0.0886. If you use all decimals, you would get 95.08 degrees. So you would get 1 mark for the correct work and another mark for the correct final answer. So it's out of 3, okay? Notice the negative. We know that this is going to be bigger than 90, right? It's obtuse if it's negative. That's for cosine law only. Okay, so 3 marks there. We're done. Find side A. So I'm looking angle, side, angle. I don't have a pair, it seems, right? But I do have this. I can find this one, no problem, because I have the 2. So angle B would be 180 minus 98.6 minus 51.8. So angle B is 29.6 degrees. And that right there gives you 1 mark. You finding angle B. And once you have this angle, you actually have a pair. Okay? So use sine law, right? So sine of 29.6 over 86.9 is equal to, and they want side A, so it's implied that it's across this angle here. This is side A right there. That's the one they want. So sine of 98.6 degrees divided by A, and that is cross multiplied here and divided going up. So 86.9 times sine of 98.6 degrees divided by sine of 29.6. Multiply and divide, you get 173.95 meters. Breakdown. 1 mark for this angle B that you found. 1 mark for the setup. I would give you another mark for the work and 1 mark for the correct final answer. If you get to the final answer, there should be some work along the way. Like if you go from here straight to there, I don't know, I think I've done my examples always showing that extra step, right? So I would take off a mark if you didn't show work. So B is out of 4, Okay, so if you're at home, it's out of 7 so far. And then find side C, then angle A. So the first step is to identify side, angle, side, right? Cosine law. And when it's side, angle, side, I showed you the formula, right? You're essentially finding this side here, which is across angle C. So it's C squared is equal to 5728.6 squared plus 4513.7 squared minus, oh, I'm going to run out of room. I'm going to redo it. I'm going to go here. C squared is equal to 5728.6 squared plus 4513.7 squared minus 2 times 5728.6, 4513.7 cosine of 73.6 degrees. Sorry, there you go. So that's, I would definitely give you 1 mark for the setup here, for having this line. Definitely 1 mark already. Okay. C is going to be the square root of whatever you get here. And if you type this all in one shot, you get a pretty big number. But we shouldn't fear it, right? Because we have a calculator that will help us, right? So this is the whole thing that you get from typing in, and we take the square root. So C ends up being 6212.02, and we are meters, right? Because at the very top of this handout, it says all sides measured in meters. So you get this. So that's side C. So obviously work 1 and another 1 for, so 3 marks for finding C. Okay. Now that you have C, right, this one, you could use cosine law because you have a triple S scenario, or you could use sine law because you now have a pair. I'm going to use sine law. Okay, so sine of 73.6 degrees over 6212.02 is equal to, I want this angle here, so I have to take the side across, right? So sine A over 4513.7. And then it's cross multiply and divide like that. So it's sine A is equal to 4513.7 times sine of 73.6 divided by 6212.02. I'll continue over here. Don't drop the sign just yet. Figure out what this is. This times this divided by that, you get 0.6970, and that actually keeps going. So I'm using all of it. Sine inverse of 0.6970 dot dot dot. So you get 44.19 degrees. Again, the breakdown, 1 mark for the correct setup. I would give you 1 mark for the work that goes along the way, and 1 mark for the final. That's fine, Jinky. Yeah. If you use cosine law, you might get 44.20 if it's rounded, and that's fine, as long as you show me the steps. Yeah. It will happen quite often if you go a different route. I don't take marks off for that, no. Okay. We'll go to the back of this. So far this page is out of 13. If you're at home and you're trying to see where am I at so far, this page, the front, is out of 13. Back side. Find the length of A, then the length of X. So you have to work with the one that has the most information. So this triangle right here has 2 angles one side. This one only has 1 side, 1 angle. You can't use that yet. You have to start here. So my approach is I have a pair here, so I definitely know I'm going to use sine law. Okay, that's good, but I need this angle to help me find that side, because this one they don't really care about, right? So I'm going to find angle A by using the sum of 180 rule, right? And so that gives you 75. Right, so this I would say is 1 mark right there. So now that you have 75 here, you can find the side across from it. So sine of 45 over 10, that's my pair, is equal to sine of 75 degrees over side A. Cross multiply, divide. Sine of 75 divided by sine of 45. That is 13.66 meters. So you would get 1 mark for the correct setup, 1 mark for the work, and 1 mark for the correct answer for A. So I have 13.66 here. They're asking me to find X. I notice that it's side, angle, side here in this one. This triangle here, it's side, angle, side. So it's cosine law, right? So if I want to find X, I need to go 15 squared plus 13.66 squared minus 2 times 15 times 13.66, right? Multiply these here again, and it's cosine of 70. X is equal to square root of all of this. If you type that in, make sure your calculator is set to degrees. This actually keeps going inside the root. You can write it all down if you want. X is going to be 16.48 meters. Again, 1 mark for the correct setup, 1 mark for the correct work along the way, and 1 mark for the correct final answer. So that whole question is out of 7. So a lot of two-step scenarios, right? Last one. 3 marks. They describe the scenario, but they also give you a diagram, right? It says that there's a power line going from A to B. The surveyor measures the distance from B to C as 580. Right, so that gives away this part. And from A to C is 337 meters, right? And BCA, right, that's the notation, right? BCA, just focus on the middle. BCA is that angle formed here, which is already in the diagram as 105 degrees. You need to be comfortable with that notation because they might ask you to find angle, BCA or something like that. In this case, they placed it already, so it wasn't critical here, but you need to know where it's located. What's the measure from point A to B? And again, this side angle side. So we can call this lowercase c from end to end. The diagram is a little off, right? The lake should have gone, but they want the distance from A to B here. So that's what remains, right? So that's cosine law. So c squared is equal to 580 squared plus 337 squared minus 2 times 580 times 337 times cosine of 105. And the reason why I sneaked this one in there, yet you might think you already tested us on cosine law up there. This is an obtuse angle. So if you're typing this in and if you're doing this in steps, it's very important that you make sure you understand what's going to happen here. If you type this all in one shot, you get 551146 5411. So if you didn't get this, and while doing this in steps, this cosine of 105 will give you a negative. So this negative and that negative turns into positive. So really this whole thing is adding to the first two numbers. That's why I'm doing this, okay? So this is 742.39 meters. So 1 mark for setup, 1 mark for work, 1 mark for correct final answer, including units, okay? So this backside is also worth 13. So wait a minute. 7, oh yeah, it's 10. 7 and 3 is 10. There. So that's 23 total. Add it up. Submit it. I will make these available while you're taking pictures. And then we'll do one question on vehicle finance before. It's not. I'm not going to take that in, but. So there's a slot right now. You can upload it. Take a couple minutes. If you find a piece of loose leaf or something to write this down, this will be the last thing we do, just to make sure you're ready for a finance question. All right. Time to check your study sheet and see, do you have, if this is thrown at you, right, would you be able to do that with what you have on your study sheet? Not that right, this is not for marks right now, it's just a review. But something like this will most likely be on that trig test. And so I'll start solving it now, and then I'll give you some review materials if you want more. So to find the payment, you take the price of the car minus any down payment mentioned, and you'd multiply it by a table rate divided by 1,000. That's how you find the monthly payment in this unit. Okay. So we go 42,957.39 minus the 7,200 that was saved up. I happen to give you the table rate. This is also known as the loan, by the way. Right, this part, when you take the price of the car, you subtract the down payment, that's referred to as the loan. Okay. It's 35,757.39 times 2314 over 1,000. And that is 827.43 rounded per month. Okay. Calculate the total interest. There were a bunch of formulas that I give you, but total interest is the payment, right, times 12, because it's 12 months, times the years, minus the loan. That's how you would find out the total interest paid over the whole, right? So in this case, it's 827.43 times 12 times 4. So it's essentially 48 payments, right? Minus the 35,757.39. That's the loan here, right? And when you do that, I'm going to do this in one shot. This is 3959. Don't necessarily recommend it, but this is total paid to the bank minus the initial amount that they gave you, right? So that's what gives you the total interest paid. C is asking you to find the interest on the first month, and that would be unpaid balance, right, times rate divided by 100, all of that divided by 12. That's just the interest in the first month, right? So in this case, the unpaid balance or the loan, I don't know what I gave you back then. Loan? Okay, so let's stay consistent. So loan, but it's the unpaid balance, right? Because this is the same one you use for the table, like when you fill out those amortization tables, right? So we go rate divided by 100. If you go up to 5.25, right? 5.25 divided by 100 is 0.0525. That's what this is doing. So you're really multiplying it by this, okay? And you divide that answer by 12. So 35,757.39 times 0.0525 divided by 12, that's $156.44 on the first month. So out of this $827 payment, you would be paying $156 just that first month on interest. D, how could he reduce the total interest paid? Many options here. Make additional payments, right? Decrease term of loan, right? Pay, like if you pay it off faster, you'd be paying less interest overall. Higher increased down payment, etc. Right? Those are the, if you have 2 or 3, that's all you really need there. And keep in mind, I'm not going over everything that has to do with finance, but just to bring this back and make sure your study sheet is in order. Next, if you want more trig review, your booklet has somewhere in the middle, it says trig test review. The problem is whoever helped me put this together mixed it up. So it's this is technically the first page, and then the one that's before it in your booklet is the second page. So the order is slightly off. So you just got to go back. And so this is really, this keeps going, right? So you got to, so you find the trig test review, it goes to, it has those questions in the front, and then you go back a page to continue from there, okay? I will post the answer key to this right after we dismiss. And as well, if you haven't done so already, there's that chapter test at the end for which I already posted the key. All right, just keep in, I'm going to warn you, I was made aware of a mistake. I think is at the end. No, here, this one, question 5. Question 5, I put 38 in here. It's supposed to be 48 on this angle right here. So my answer will be off. So just be aware of that. I'll try to fix that. Other than that, that's all for trig. Okay, we made it through trig. Go through your notes. Check if there's anything you need to review.